The most important retirement paper you've never heard of. This one freaking is critical. And if you aren't subscribed to my channel by this time, you're wrong, because I bring you this stuff that no one else does. Yeah, I'm not polished. I don't edit my videos. I haven't shaved. I'm wearing my Jesus is Lord shirt, because today is Good Friday, by the way. Good Friday. And remember, 3 days from now, Jesus either rose from the dead or he didn't. One of those two things. And that's all that matters, to be perfectly honest with you. Did Jesus rise again from the dead in fulfillment of the scriptures and what he predicted he would do, or he did not? It's pretty much simple. It comes down to that. That's all the world revolves on. Did Jesus rise from the dead or not? Anyway, so I want to dive into this. This is a paper from these, I guess the latest, Arne Olafsson from Denmark and Michaela Pagel from Columbia, both business, I guess business academics or business professors, I'm not sure. Columbia School of Business and Denmark School of Business. Dateline, March 2018. All right, and this right here is the new retirement consumption puzzle, new evidence from personal finances. Dude, this is so critical. And we went live on Locals to dive in depth on this on Wednesday. I'm not going to do that here. We'll dive a little bit, but not nearly as in depth as what we did on Locals, because we go live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Locals. So join us over there. It's in a doobie-doo. We find that upon retirement, individuals reduce their spending both in work-related and leisure categories. Individuals reduce their spending. What does the 4% rule say? They increase their spending. Laid down the smackdown. A number of empirical studies find a sharp decline in consumption during the first years of retirement, a phenomenon referred to as a retirement consumption puzzle. But other studies argue that a drop in consumption at retirement is actually not puzzling. Again, are you hearing what they're saying? A drop in consumption at retirement. The mechanism for the drop in spending on retirement is still debated, but you see, like, this is now, like, everybody knows this, that when people hit retirement, they reduce their expenditures. Now, the question of why that's happening is debatable, but this is no longer debatable about you're going to increase your spending with each and every year with retirement because of with inflation. To the best of our knowledge, this paper is the first to document changes in personal finances, that is, liquid savings and consumer debt around retirement. We find the evidence of reductions in both work-related and leisure spending categories. People are even spending less on leisure. And it gets even better. We look at personal finances and document that individuals de-lever, they get rid of debt, around retirement by reducing their consumer debt and increasing their savings. So you can't be reducing your debt and increasing your savings if you're going bankrupt. Our findings about personal finances are very interesting because they are difficult to rationalize. Any rational agent who expects a fall in income at retirement will save before retirement and spend their savings down after retirement rather than the other way around, which is what these people found. That people actually, what they do is that they pay down their debt at retirement once they retire, and they increase their spending, which would not make sense in a rational model. One can make an argument, yeah, Josh, they're increasing their spending because they're liquidating other accounts or maybe selling their house or taking a reverse mortgage or all that stuff. And they say, no, that's not true. Our findings could be explained by individuals liquidating retirement accounts or other illiquid assets, such as houses around retirement. But to address this concern, we make sure our findings are robust to control for all income from all sources. Here's where the rubber hits the road. We use a consumer expenditure survey. We find that retirement results in an increase in savings, checking account balances, and savings account balances. In the survey for consumer finances, we find retirement results in reductions in debt and increases in checking savings as well. And then we use these other data sets, 2 more U.S. surveys to the PSID and the HRS, and the panel SID income. I can't remember PSID. HRS, Health Retirement Study. I can't remember what PSID stands for. Hold on a second. Let me find it. The panel for the study of income dynamics, what the PSID is. So the HRS, the Health Retirement Survey from University of Michigan, and PSID, as well as another survey. Because these surveys poll households consecutively, we can also include individual fixed effects in our regressions. In all the data sets, we find that consumption and debt holdings decrease, but savings and checking account balances increase along with other measures of wealth. So they're not selling their retirement account, selling their house, and putting their savings account. That's not happening. Other measures of wealth are increasing. At the same time, consumer debt is decreasing. It's crazy. Going to go even deeper. They're not just looking at those 5 data sets from the other side. They're looking at this another one. They're going to say, we explore the retirement consumption puzzle using a very accurate panel of individual spending and income. Transactional based. The data were captured in the course of business by Meninga, a provider of personal finance management software in Iceland. We are aware of only one other previous study to use transaction level data to investigate the consumption drop upon retirement. And that was one from Singapore, which this one, these guys say is better anyway. But either way, there's still a consumption drop in retirement. No one really doubts this anymore, except one paper, which I thought was interesting because I've been begging people. Right here, let's check it out. While there are additional studies that provide evidence supporting the hypothesis of retirement consumption declining in retirement, others argued against it. And that's the only one right there. Stevens Jr. in 2017. That was it. And I said, what's the others? It's not plural, it's the singular. And I haven't read that paper yet, but I was like, if you actually look at it, they talk about the food. You're decreasing your food intake, essentially. I haven't read the paper yet. But I've been begging all these naysayers. I've been begging, show me evidence that retirement increases each and every year with the inflation. Just show me the evidence. And the evidence said, people, I'm trying to be nice because it is still March Gladness, not March Madness, March Gladness, will say, well, look at the price of gas. I'm like, that's not evidence of long-term consistent increasing and spending over inflation. That's just, I can't believe professionals and academics would ever use that. Look at the price of gas relative to 6 months ago. Oh my goodness. Look at the price of, have you been to the grocery store? That is not evidence that long-term spending increases with inflation. Because now if I can get freaking $3.99 for a carton of eggs, and before $7.99, two years ago, does that mean we're in deflation? It's so stupid. I cannot believe academics and professionals actually use this. Use this data from Iceland, because apparently everybody in Iceland, they don't do any cash. They do everything electronically. And this data set, Meninga, has access to transactional level details, which is pretty sweet, actually, when you think about it. Look, I don't want a CBDC. I try to pay cash as much as I possibly can, because I think that's the best way to stick it to the globalists. But in this case, Iceland has only got like 350,000 people, a very, very tiny country. But it gives us a data set we can look to compare with all the other U.S. data sets. We can see in the raw data that the average retired individuals have lower incomes. When they retire, their income drops. Shocking. They spend less. They have more savings. They hold less consumer debt, have more access to credit, and incur fewer bank fees and penalty payments. Check this out. Spending in grocery stores and supermarkets is the largest part of household total spending, except for things like housing and utilities. Food. Food is the largest part of total household spending. And this is for the Iceland people. And I'm going to circle this back around and show you why it's still legitimate here. And it does exhibit the hump-shaped spending pattern where you're not spending as much, and then you hit this like thing right up here, a threshold, and then you're at the precipice, you start spending less as you get older. That makes sense. All right, that makes sense. But ready-made food expenditures rise in individuals' 20s and then stay more or less flat until they're declining in their 60s. Ready-made foods, i.e. going out to eat. So when you're time constrained, you're like, I'm going to go pick up something. I'm going to get, like last night, Liam and I had to go get him from tennis, went to the Hawks game. We got some, he got McDonald's, I got some French fries, not going to lie. But anyway, went to the Hawks game, you know what I'm saying? Because we had no time to make something at home. Charlotte was at, where was she? I forgot. But anyway, in Charlotte, she was doing something else, and so there was no time to make anything. Because you have kids who got to bounce around. You see what I'm saying? So, but when you're retired, you have more eat at home expenditures, more preparation, less consumption going out to eat. And that is a cheaper way. It's healthier, it's cheaper too. Talk about expenditures on fine dining increase gradually as you hit retirement because you have more time on your hands to enjoy your fine dining, and then they stay fixed. These figures suggest that individuals shift towards more time-consuming food expenditures as they retire from the labor market, which is personally consistent with findings in the literature. They're going out to eat. They're not getting fast food. They're mostly working, preparing their own food at home, but then they'll go out and enjoy more fine dining with more leisure. They got more leisure time to have, just to chill at the restaurant, as opposed to when you're working and you're like, I got to go everywhere. It's crazy. Our results show that spending drops significantly upon retirement. When we control for income, the drop is about 70% of the reduction without controlling for income, which suggests that individuals change their spending habits not only because income drops at retirement, but because they have other priorities. Isn't that crazy? They're not just because their income drops so much, they're saying, I'm not going to spend anything. They change their spending for other reasons as well. says leisure spending goes up. No, leisure-related spending, for instance, sports and activities, also decrease substantially. It's not, so people just have a different mindset when they retire. It's crazy. And there's a reason for this. This is why it's so important for you to hear. Find a 13.2% reduction in debt. People de-lever when they hit retirement. These individuals not only they reduce their spending, their consumption, but they also reduce their debt considerably as well. Deleveraging cannot be rationalized by reduction in work-related expenses. When rational agents expect a substantial reduction in income, they will optimally save before and then start spending down their savings later. And that's not what happened. It's the exact opposite. Their savings are going up once they retire, and their debt is going down. We find that households not only de-lever, but they also increase their liquid spending, or their liquid savings, between 5.5% and 12%, depending on whether income is controlled for. So they're increasing their liquid savings by a significant amount, and they're not doing it by taking money from their IRAs or spending down or home equity lines. It's crazy. How can this possibly happen? Most important thing, we show that we can replicate our results in commonly used survey data sets from the US and Germany in this case, from a transaction level data in Germany. It is reassuring we can document the same results using the surveys of consumer finances, the consumer expenditure survey, as well as the United States, where it's the most commonly used in the literature. Germany, the Germany bank account data, we find that savings, measured as an income minus consumption, increases when individuals retire. We see increases in current account balances and portfolio values as well, to include decline in credit balances, paying off debt. We also use the PSID from 1968 to 2015. It's a nationally representative survey of households conducted by the University of Michigan. The results of the PSID are consistent with our other results, indicating that individuals consume less after retirement. Moreover, retired individuals increase their balances in their savings and checking accounts, which corroborates with our previous findings. They also hold less debt, and their overall wealth increases, with or without accounting for equity in their home. Then they use the HRS data. And they're consistent with our previous results. When they retire, individuals consume less but increase their savings, IRA assets, and overall wealth. Here's the final conclusion that is critically important, because they're like, we can't rationalize why people are doing this, why they're consuming less and increasing their IRA savings, their overall household assets, plus they're reducing their debt and increasing their savings and reducing their consumption. We can't rationalize that. We thus conclude that individuals do not immediately retire when they can. On average, individuals appear to retire voluntarily at least a couple months after the age thresholds, and sometimes years after. Given what they found, individuals could gain in lifetime resources by retiring early. Because retirement, as they say here, right here, retirement puts additional time at the individual's disposal that can be spent on leisure, used to find bargains, and otherwise shop less expensively or used for home production. So, I can't say it anymore right here. Individuals appear to retire later than they should. Individuals could gain lifetime resources by retiring early. Iterate. The fact that we do not find an effect on investment-related income and a negative effect on uncategorized income should relieve concerns about liquidation of assets or housing transactions, explaining why individuals increase their savings and de-lever upon retirement. Also paid off their mortgages, which would just go again to the silliness of the 80% rule or whatever the hell it is. 80% of pre-retirement income. We do not see a sharp decline in mortgage debt by individuals who have reached the official retirement age. A large fraction of mortgage debt is paid off before individuals even reach 60. And the remainder declines smoothly as individuals reach average retirement age. And we don't find any health shocks. We find that pharmacy spending falls upon retirement by about 7.3%. Which strongly suggests that health shocks are not the reason the average individual in our sample retires. You can argue all day long against these people, and I haven't read any, I haven't seen like, oh man, they're making this stuff up, or they're, partnering with not Elon Musk, what's the guy's name? Sniffy Joe Biden. I don't know. I don't know who these people are. Maybe they're full of crap, you know what I'm saying? Maybe my man Chris Brunette over at Carl Stack on Substack says, no, these guys are wrong. I don't think so. I don't think so. They're using the PSID, the HRS, the Consumer Expenditure Survey. The what's the other one? The HRS. I'm drawing a blank. There's SCF. They're looking at German transaction data. They're looking at Iceland transaction data. There's one in Singapore transaction data, but it's not as wealthy, as good because they use a lot of cash in Singapore. It's all come up with the same thing. People are spending less and their savings go up in retirement. And they're saying the reason for that is because people are not using their time wisely. And that's not what they say explicitly. I am. I'm saying you're so worried about running out of money, you're going to work longer than you need. It's a decreasing marginal utility here. So basically you're saying you're right here is when you should retire, but you keep working and it's a decreasing benefit to keep working because you should have retired at 60 and instead you're retiring at 62. And those extra 2 years, yeah, they give you a little bit more money, but it doesn't give you any more time. So the more money you get relative to the time you lost is a negative for you. Prove me otherwise, man. I'd love to hear any argument that says this isn't true. I've researched it. I've been begging people. Where is your data that says people spend an increase each every year with retirement? Don't just say, look at the cost of groceries or look at the cost of gas. That's freaking silly. That's infantile stuff. Show me the flipping data. If you can't show me the data, then go pound sand while you're telling people they can't retire. I'm sorry. That doesn't mean you can retire right now. I was talking to a guy the other day, lived about 2 years older than me. His retirement plan doesn't look good. I said, well, mine doesn't either. But you know something? Guess what happens when you're 80 years old and let's just say all you got is Social Security, you got no debt, and between him and his wife, like $60,000 of Social Security in today's dollars. I said, you tell me you're not gonna be able to make that. I know like he's not gonna retire tomorrow, but I'm just saying, you tell me you're not gonna be able to make that. You're living on Social Security, but they're gonna reduce Social Security. Okay, good luck with that. Anyway, love your thoughts. God bless. Yeah, this video went longer than I anticipated, but love your thoughts. Remember, happy Good Friday, folks. Jesus is Lord.